Sewing for babies is the best thing ever. I'm Jan Howell from YouMakeItSimple.com, and in this DIY sewing tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a reversible baby bib with cam snaps. These are very easy to make and a great project for a beginner seamstress. They're quick to make up. You can make them with a little food pocket, and they are reversible. Or you can just leave them plain. Make just a small teething bib, and they have two different sizes and adjustable snaps. They make a great addition to any baby shower gift or baby gift, along with a couple burp cloths or a mitered corner baby blanket. Both of these items I do have tutorials and patterns for, so you might want to check that out. Be sure to watch the whole video, because at the end I'm going to show you how to adapt the pattern if you wanted to make it bigger or smaller. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the project. The items and materials you'll need for your baby bibs is any combination of fabric that is, you can use flannel, terry cloth, quilting cotton fabric. You can even use knit fabric, and you can use laminated cloth that you use to make diaper covers with. It's the one I really like is called Pull. You'll need your sewing machine, corresponding color of thread, and a bobbin loaded with the corresponding color of thread, some fabric scissors, some pins or fabric clips, which I really love, a turning stick of some kind, or you can use the razor end of a pencil. I really like the Kam Snap system. I love their system. It works great, it's easy to use, and it's fairly inexpensive. Or you can just use Velcro or a sew-in snap. Some kind of marking device, you can even just use a pencil. And if you want to add a cute label to your project, a fabric label, I have a tutorial showing you how you can make your own, an iron, and an ironing board. I really like this portable felt wool ironing pad. And you'll need the pattern downloaded and printed. I'll put the link in the description below. You'll need about a half a yard of fabric total, and you can split that up and make it reversible with some different prints and colors, which I'm going to do here. Because of the size of the printable pattern, you'll need to assemble the pattern first, which is just taping two pieces of paper together. You'll need to cut out a front and a back. They can be the same color if you want to. They can be different kinds of fabric. Sometimes it's fun to use a terry cloth on one side and just a regular flannel piece or cotton fabric on the other side. If you wanted to make a teething bib, just follow the cutout for that. This piece of fabric is just a fat quarter, so you can grab a couple fat quarters at the store and make up some cute bibs. If you are going to add that food pocket at the bottom of the apron, let me show you how to cut that out. You'll need a piece of fabric that is at least 8 inches by 12 inches. So I'm going to fold the 12-inch horizontally in half, and then fold it in half again. Line up that top folded edge, and take the food pocket pattern and place the pattern on the fold on the left and also on the fold at the top. You want this top piece, the wider piece, to be on the double fold. And you'll just cut one of those out. And then you'll open it up just like that. So before I assemble the bib together, if you are using that food pocket and you want to add a tag, this is a fun little place to put the label. It depends on what kind of label you have, but I have this folding label. You can put it in the seam, or I'm going to place this particular tag, fold it over just like that, and then I'm going to zigzag around, just a little teeny zigzag on that white border to attach that. And then we'll apply it to the rest of the bib. This is, of course, optional stuff here. So I've set my machine to a very short and narrow zigzag, and I'm going to zigzag around that border. Take the food pocket and place it on top, the right side facing up. Line up the bottom edges and clip it in place. We're going to base this in place to make sure that it doesn't shift around when we're sewing everything together. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is a lot bigger seam allowance than we'll use on the rest of the project. And I'm going to use a basting stitch, which the length will be 4. Don't backstitch at the beginning or end of the seam. Now that I have this basted in place, take the other bib piece, place it right side facing down, and line up all the edges. You can use pins or clips to hold those pieces together. Now we're going to sew it all together, but we're going to leave about a 4-inch space on the side of one of the sides of the bib. I like to put a double clip where I need to stop. So I'm going to start here and sew all the way around and stop here so that we can turn the bib inside out. Use a 3/8 inch seam allowance and just take your time going around those corners. Just go nice and slow. Backstitch at the beginning and the end of your seam. Now when you get to these small curves, just go really slow. And try not to force the fabric, just let the feed dog pull it through naturally as you just turn it. When it gets to a really sharp curve, you can lift up your presser foot just a tad and begin sewing again. So we're back to those double clips. That reminds me that I'm going to stop sewing there. And then backstitch. Before we turn the inside out, we're going to clip the outer corners and the inner curves so they turn and lay really nicely when we top stitch. So the key is when you're clipping the outer curves, an outer round curve, you'll be making little V's in the seam allowance and being careful not to cut into the seam allowance. We'll do that all the way around the curve, about a 1/2 inch apart. Where this starts to curve, we'll clip those edges. Now on the inner curve, we're just going to make little slits, taking care not to cut into the seam. And again, about every 1/2 inch or so. And this will reduce the bulk in the seam allowance and allow it to turn. Get back up to the curve. Now we go back to the little notches. And that should do it. Now we're ready to turn the right side out. Find the hole that you left, the opening. Flip your food pocket to the side that you want it. Just take your finger and pull out those corners. And this is where your turning stick will come in, real handy. I like to take it and just pull it along the seam so it totally gets those curves out and flat. At this point, you'll want to remove the stitching. You can use a pin or your seam ripper. Pull out that thread and it should come out really easily since it was a long stitch. See how that just pulls all the way out? Find the space that you left open and fold the seam allowance to the inside and just try to match the same seam allowance. Sometimes you have to work with it just a little bit. See how all the edges are even, and then press that in place. And I'm just going to clip that. And when you top stitch, it will just close it. We're going to use an 1/8 inch seam allowance so that it's very close to the edge, and so that will close it out really nicely. I like to give a shot of steam over the fabric that I'm working on. And that's easier to grab the fabric and roll it and make sure that that is totally rolled out. If you did put on a tag, make sure you're not ironing over the tag because it will stick to your iron. Clip your threads if there's any left. Now we're ready to top stitch all the way around. Go as slow as you need to around the curves. When you get back to where you started, take a few stitches back stitching. Now we're ready for the fun part, the snaps. Grab your Kam Snaps. You'll need 3 of the thumbtack back pieces, 2 female snaps, which look like this. They look like a little cup, kind of like, and then the male, you'll need 1 male snap, which looks like this. Grab your pattern, lay it on top, kind of align it. Get this sharp awl, pointy awl that comes with your kit. It's very sharp, and poke 2 holes. So we're going to poke 2 holes on one side and only 1 hole on the other side. Go ahead and pull it back and forth a few times so that you're making a good size hole. that you can see, and then press and poke the other hole. So you can kind of see those, and I'll do the other side. So flip the pattern over. And we're only poking one hole, that outer hole, not both, just this one. So on the side that has the two holes, we're going to place the two female snaps facing up. And this is reversible, so it doesn't matter. It will look good with both sides. Take the back piece and poke it through from the back to the front. Take the female piece and place it on top so it looks like this. And we don't want to put it on like this. So that little cup is on top. I found that flipping the bib this way gives you better access to the snap instead of doing it around this way. So the shorter distance you have with the clamp, the easier it is. Take your pliers, little squeezer thing here, and align it so you can feel it kind of snap down into that little cup, and then just give it a good tight squeeze, and you've applied the snap. Slide your pliers in and feel that back piece kind of snap in place into that cup, and then you give it a good squeeze. Ta-da! Now on this other side, we're only going to apply the one snap, and it needs to be facing, the back piece needs to be here so that the part can obviously snap into this piece. So from the front to the back, we have that back piece there. The male snap facing up like so. Feel that snap in place, and then clamp it. Ta-da! And you have two different sizes, neck sizes, and that's what it looks like on that side. So love these snaps. Love them, love them, love them. You can get snaps in all colors, and what I have found is I like this big case of white and black because that is universal. As you can see, there's only so many shades of colors that in this set anyway, but white or black usually works on most fabrics. This is the basic pattern, but what if you wanted to make it smaller or longer or even wider? It's really easy to do. So the regular pattern, I would be folding it here and taping it onto this line. If I wanted to make this bigger, a little bit longer, maybe say for a toddler or something, all you need to do is decide how long you want it. Slide that down, line up the center fold point, and just tape it in place. And make sure that that is lined up all the way across, and it is. And just, you would tape that in place and cut it out. If I wanted to make it smaller, just fold on that dotted line. We'll be shortening it to the distance that you want, and then taping it in place. There already is a smaller bib for like a teething bib right here, but if you wanted something in the middle, this is the way that you can do that. What if you wanted to make it a little wider, a little bigger to the width? All you would need to do is to add on to this center point. Take your pencil and just follow, add that additional, and use this line, the edge of the paper, for the center fold. If you are going to be making a lot of these, I recommend tracing the pattern onto a piece of cardstock or a thicker sheet of vinyl. And then you could just use your rotary cutter if you wanted to cut them out. I hope that was helpful. So wasn't that a fun, simple, quick project? Once you make one, you'll want to make several more. If you're new to sewing and want some more tips and instructions on the basic sewing skills, be sure to check out my Sew Simple course. I'll have the link in the description below. It comes with several easy sewing projects. And if you just want to refresh your sewing skills and maybe learn something new, check it out. I would love to see some of the projects that you make. Go to my Facebook, youmakeitsimple.com, or Instagram and tag You Make It Simple. I would love to see what you're doing. If you have any comments or great tips for this project, make sure to leave a comment below. Have a wonderful day, have fun sewing, and we'll see you next time.